Good day, wonderful viewers. My name is Ami Jaite, a teacher of English language. Today I will be teaching on letter writing. So it will be very important if you follow the lesson, which will strengthen your understanding on letter writing and also enable you to know the protocols that you are to follow when writing any kind of letter. As I said, we will be treating letter writing, so stay focused. By the end of my lesson, you should be able to know the definition of a letter, the types of letters that we have, the features of letters, and common phrases used in formal and informal letters. We will start with the definition. A letter is a written message in a unique format from one party to another. Letter, as it already said in the definition, is any written format that is written from one person to another or from one party to another. Now, all letters have unique qualities because there are different types of letters that we have. We will move on to the types of letters. Basically, there are three main kinds of letters, which are informal letter, formal letter, and semi-formal letter. So we will start our teaching with formal letters and with the definition, which states that formal letters are referred to as official letters or business letters. They may include letters to editors, to companies, to organizations, to local councils, to members of parliament, institutions, and application letters. Formal letters are letters that are official and are letters that are business letters. They are letters that are sent to offices. So it has a unique format that is supposed to be followed when anyone is supposed to write it. Now we will look at the features of a formal letter. Formal letter has its own features. Informal letter has its own features. Semi-formal letter also. So the features of each of these letters is what makes it unique. We will start by looking at the features of a formal letter. Now, the first feature that we have on the board is the writer's address. Every formal letter carries a writer's address. Now, the writer's address is otherwise called the sender's address. This is the address of the person that is writing the letter. After the writer's address, it is followed by the date. The date is added to the writer's address, but the date and the address are two different things. So from the writer's address, you move on to the date. From the date, because it is an official letter, it is a business letter, it carries a recipient address. Now the recipient address is the receiver's address. If you have your sender's address, meaning the address of you, the one writing the letter, you have your date, letter is supposed to go to an office, it must carry a receiver's address. From the receiver's address, it carries a salutation. From the salutation, it carries the heading or title or topic. From the heading, it carries the body. From the body, it carries a subscription. From the subscription, we have the signature under it, and then your full name. We will look at these features in detail. We will start with the writer's address. The writer's address, as it is said, is the address of the person that is writing the letter. Under it, we have the date, which should be written as day, month, and year. Like to say, 25th March, 1990 as a date, just to cite an example. Then we move to the recipient address. In every official letter, it is imperative that the candidate include the recipient address. The recipient is the person or the institution to which the letter is sent. The recipient address is usually written below the date, but at the left-hand corner of your paper. You need to include the designation of the person or the officer in charge of the company, or the institution the letter is sent. For instance, we have an example of sender's address, date, and the recipient address. Now, the example of my sender's address is the first line, Charles Joe Memorial Academy. Second line, P.O. Box 744, Banjo. That is the end of the sender's address. Then, as you can see, the date is immediately under the location, which is Banjo. And it states 16th April 2019. But the 16th, the TH should come down to be on the same line with the words, but not on top. Then at the other end, we have the receiver's address. Here we are writing a letter to the Director of Regional Education Directorate. And our recipient address is the Director on the first line, Regional Education Directorate, Region 2. Where is it located? Birkama. So this is an example of a sender's address, date, and the recipient address. Stay tuned to know more about the other features. It also reiterates that you must not add date to the recipient address. Both addresses of the writer and the recipient should be uniform in terms of style or form of presentation. For instance, if the writer's address is blocked or aligned and punctuated, the recipient address must also be blocked, punctuated, or vice versa. What this expression is trying to explain is that whatever you have done on the sender's address, if you have capitalized all the words, if you have punctuated, you should do the same on the recipient address. There should be uniformity in whatever you do with the sender's address and the recipient address. You will realize that maybe you will want to write in the slant way and not in the straight way. As any one of them that you use, you can use the same thing on the recipient address. From the sender's address, the date, and the recipient address, we now have to move to the salutation. The salutation is otherwise the greeting. Now, for every formal letter, you may usually use dear sir as the position of the person, dear sir, and not the name of the person as you are writing to an entity. You may use sir. You may use dear madam, madam, dear sir or madam, as in when you don't know the gender of the person, you may use dear sir or madam. Dear sir, sir, etc. From the salutation, we move to the heading. The heading could be called the title or the topic, but also the heading also have some protocols that are supposed to be followed. There are two main types of writing the title. You may write your title all capitalized, or you write in small letters, provided the beginning of every word is capital, with the exception of articles and some prepositions, and then you underline it. Example is here with the small letter type of writing it. It's the challenges confronting Gambian women. If you can see the illustration, all the words there are in small letters, but the beginning of every word is capital. So when that happens, you are supposed to underline it. Here is another type of example. The challenges confronting Gambian women, all capitalized. So when all is capitalized, you are not supposed to underline it. Yes. The title should either be written in capital letters or the first word capitalized. Examine the example above. In capitalizing, articles, particles, and prepositions are not supposed to be capitalized. Example, the, with is written in capital letters. From the title, the topic, or the heading, we now move to the body, which is saying that the language must be formal and straight to the point. Just to explain further, the body of a formal letter is different from the body of informal and semi-formal letters. Formal letter is so unique that there should not be any pleasantries, as it happens sometimes that you hear students saying, "How are you and the rest of the family? I hope you are in a very good condition of health." All those things are not supposed to be used in formal letters because you are not supposed to expect any reply. So there should not be pleasantries. It carries no colloquialism, which includes slangs, etc., and also contractions, which is the short way of writing certain words, like do not, don't, that's, instead of that is. So the body of a formal letter is just you're supposed to just go straight to the point. Now from the body, we move to the subscription. And for the subscription of the letter, mind you, the body includes the conclusion. Now to the subscription, you should always use yours faithfully, and this should be at the right-hand bottom of the paper. Yours faithfully, comma, signature under it, and then your full name under that. Exactly, that is what is supposed to be done in every formal letter. Now, you have looked at how formal letter is written. You have seen the protocols or the features of a formal letter. Now it is time that we introduce you to another type of letter, which is called the informal type of letter. This type of letters are also referred to as friendly letters, and it also has some unique qualities that it has different from a formal letter. Now, the features of informal letters are writer's address, which is called the sender's address. As you can see, formal letter carries writer's address, informal letter carries writer's address. So it is important that you know that all letters should carry address. From the writer's address which they share, we move on to the date, which is also a feature of a formal letter. From the date, we move on to the salutation. This is exactly where the difference lies. Because in formal letters, from the writer's address to the date, we move straight to the recipient address. But here in informal letters, from the writer's address to the date, straight to the salutation. So what makes formal letter different from informal letter is the recipient address at this point. From the salutation, we move to the body. From the body, we move to the complimentary closing or subscription. Subscription is otherwise called complimentary closing. We now look at the features of informal letters in details. Just to remind you, writer's address, date, salutation, body, subscription. We are now going to look at these features in detail. It says when writing a letter, whether formal or informal, it is important you write your address. Your address can be written in two styles, like we have mentioned in the formal letters. You can write in the slant way, or you can write in the straight way. The types are indented or slanted style, block or aligned, straight line, and it should be written at the top right corner of the paper. For instance, in the block form. As you can see the example here, we are now going to show you how to write the two types of addresses. The first one, which is in the block form, we are saying block form is otherwise called the straight form. Everything should be straight, as the name implies. Number 8, Musk Road, Banjo. Then the date follows. You are going to realize that from the N to the B, then to the 16th is straight. This is an example of a block form of address. We're now going to look at the slanted or the indented form. the same wordings, but in another style. Number 8, Mosque Road. This time around, you can see since it is slanted or indented, the banjul has moved its position. Instead of the N, B under the N, the B has moved under the O to show that you are using the slant way. And then the 16th has maintained its position. Because if you can remember, I told you that the 16th is, the date is just added to the address, but it's a different entity. So it remains in its position. Whether you are using the straight form or the indented or the slant form. From that, we are coming to the date, and it states, it is very important that you date every letter you write. The date should appear near the top of the page, just below the address, at the right-hand margin. Always write the date in full. We move on to the salutation. Salutation is called the greetings. You know that when writing informal letters, informality is the guiding principle. However, what salutation you use largely depends on how close you are to the person to whom you are writing to. Here are a few ideas to guide you when starting your informal letter. For the salutation, you know that when writing informal letters, you are supposed to use dear mommy, dear mom, dear daddy, dear dad, dear mother, etc. People who are very close to your parents, you may begin with dearest father, writing to grandparents or brothers, sisters, aunties, and uncles. You may use the following: dear grandpa, dear brother, dear grandma, my dear brother, dear uncle, dear cousin, dear Auntie Fatu, dear niece. You can use these ones as your salutation for your informal letters. Note, you can also use dear Auntie Fatu or dear Uncle Sam to older friends whom you may call aunties and uncle in speech, but who are not, in fact, related. Remember, this is the kind other writers may prefer to as semi-formal letters. You are reminded that dear takes small letters, D, and my dear Sam, my dear brother, etc. When you are writing to husband or wife, boyfriend or girlfriend, you may use the following: Dear Grace, dear Dick, my dear, my darling Grace. The body of the letter includes the following. It carries an introduction. It has a main body, which talks about the parts that the question is divided into. It carries a conclusion, which consists of the summary of what you talked about in your main body. And for the introduction, it should be captivating to show the sense of feeling you want your audience. The background and the thesis statement should be stated in the introduction. Then your topic sentences will be developed in the main body. We now looked at the main body. The main body of the letter concerns the content of the letter. Thus, for what purpose you are writing the letter, the main body is made up of numbers of paragraphs dealing with topic sentences. Topic sentences are the main ideas of the paragraph and are supported by detailed supporting sentences, analyzing and explaining or illustrating the topic sentences. These paragraphs, when put together, form a unified letter. But always remember, your body should be written in paragraphs. Also note that how long or short a paragraph depends on how one handles grammar. A paragraph of about 6 lines is not bad at one's level. Others may want to expand on their paragraphs to have longer paragraphs. But a paragraph of 6 lines is not bad at all. It has a conclusion. The conclusion of your letter must not be in isolation. The conclusion, that is why it is always part of the main body, because it sums up all that you have said in your main body. It should reinforce what the content says, thereby summarizing all that you have said in the conclusion. It carries a subscription. And all the examples we talked about can end in the following, depending on the relationship the person being addressed. You may use, for your subscription, you may use with very best wishes, with much love, with much love and best wishes, yours ever, love, with all my love, yours affectionately, yours ever, yours sincerely. In all these cases, you should follow the subscription with the first name, not your surname. Example, yours sincerely, comma, Modulamin, full stop. Thank you. This takes us to the end of the lesson today. I hope you have enjoyed the lesson. Before I close my lesson today, I would like to talk to the students and everybody here that we should remember to wash our hands with clean water, use sanitizers, and also take all the precautions that are given so that we can fight the deadly coronavirus. Bye-bye and see you next time. Thank you.